Belinda Audio Books presents this unabridged recording of Contest, written by Matthew Reilly and read by Sean Mangan. Be sure to visit our website on www.belinda.com. Details of other available and forthcoming Belinda audiobook releases can be found at the end of this recording. The inscription reads, "For Mum and Dad." Acknowledgements. Special thanks to Stephen Reilly, my brother, marketing genius, tortured writer, aren't we all, and loyal friend. To Natalie Freer, the first person to read my work, and the most patient and giving person on this earth. To my parents for letting me watch too much television as a kid, and for their unwavering support. And to Peter Kozlina for his monumental show of faith in this book, before he had even read a word. And of course, thanks once again to everyone at Pan Macmillan. Kate Patterson for being a brilliant publisher, Jane Novak for being a fantastic publicist, and for being the only person I know who could read Voss and then pick up Ice Station and enjoy them both. Julie Nekich for being an understanding editor. You have to be to work with me. And lastly, once again, all the sales reps at Pan for the countless hours they spend on the road between bookshops. Thank you. To anyone out there who knows a writer, never underestimate the power of your encouragement. A note from the author about Contest. Hello there, Matthew Reilly here. Now, before we get on with the show, I'd like, if I may, to share with you a few secrets about Contest. First of all, as some of you may already know, Contest was my first novel. The story of how I self-published it after every major publisher in Sydney rejected it has been pretty well documented elsewhere, so I won't go into that here. Suffice it to say that only 1,000 copies of Contest were ever released, all paid for by yours truly. And then came Ice Station. Now, many people have taken the time to tell me what a ride they found Ice Station to be. Such comments please me immensely because that is what it was supposed to be, a non-stop roller coaster ride on paper. What few people know, however, is that when I wrote Ice Station, I had one all-consuming goal: to top Contest. Contest is the book that made Ice Station, and later Temple, what it was. If it doesn't seem as large in scale as its two successors, it is because it was the first. It was the prototype upon which they were built, a prototype for a different style of book, a super fast-paced, absolutely non-stop thriller. Everybody has to start somewhere. I started with Contest. That said, I think the story in Contest is easily the fastest of all my books. It is like a sports car stripped down to its raw components. Wheels, frame, engine. No fancy paintwork, no fancy upholstery. Just raw, non-stop energy. As any author will tell you, you only get one first book. And that first one always occupies a special place in your heart. Contest is like that for me. It was the first one, and now, as I look back on it, I can see without a doubt that it set the tone for everything to come. I truly hope you have as much fun reading it as I did writing it. Matthew Reilly, November 2000. Do I Dare Disturb the Universe? T.S. Eliot. Introduction. From Hoare, Shane, Suetonius, The Picture of Rome, New York, Advantage Press, 1979. Chapter 7, The First Century A.D. Ultimately, however, it is Suetonius's classic work, Lives of the Emperors, that provides us with the best picture of court life in imperial Rome. Here Suetonius might well be writing a modern-day soap opera, as he outlines the lust, the cruelty, the intrigues, and the numerous insidiae, or plots, that dominated life in the emperor's presence. Page 98. Not least of whom was Domitian, who, although well known for his extempore executions of scheming courtesans, provides perhaps the most brutal of all examples of Roman intrigue, that of Quintus Aurelius. a distinguished former captain in the Roman army who rose to prominence in the Senate under Domitian, Aurelius apparently fell out of favor with the emperor in 87 AD. Initially recruited by Domitian to aid him in military matters, Aurelius was also a prolific writer, who not only instructed Domitian on military strategy, but who also committed those instructions to his own personal record. Much of this writing has survived to the present day, dated and intact. However, Quintus Aurelius' writing ceased abruptly in the year 87 AD. All correspondence between senator and emperor was severed. Aurelius' personal record cited no further entries. There was no mention of Aurelius in Senate documents from that year onward. Quintus Aurelius had disappeared. Some historians have speculated that Aurelius, who it was said would appear in the Senate in full military attire, simply fell out of favor with Domitian, while others have proposed that Aurelius was discovered plotting. Page 103. From Freer, Donald, From Medieval to Modern, Europe, 1010 to 1810. London, W. M. Laurie and Company, 1963. By comparison, the wheat riots in Cornwall were but a trifle when compared with the confusion that overwhelmed a small farming community in West Hampshire in the spring of 1092. Historians have long pondered over the fate of Sir Alfred Hayes, the Lord of Palmerston Estate, whose disappearance in 1092 upset the entire feudal balance of his small agrarian community in West Hampshire. Page 45. However, the most startling aspect of the whole affair is that if Hayes did in fact die suddenly, of cholera or anything else for that matter, why was his death not listed in the local church register, as had always been the custom? A man so renowned for his past glory on the battlefield, and of such stature in the community, would not be overlooked by the death registrar. The sad fact is that since no body was ever found, no death was ever recorded. Writing after his lord's disappearance, the local abbot of West Hampshire observed that, apart from necessary military excursions, Sir Alfred had never left West Hampshire before, and that during the days immediately prior to his disappearance, he had been seen about the village carrying out his business as usual. It was odd, the abbot wrote, that here was a man who could be certified as born, but who had officially never died. Putting aside all medieval myths of witchery and demonic intervention, the facts are quite straightforward. In the spring of 1092, Sir Alfred Hayes, Lord of Palmerston Estate, West Hampshire, simply vanished from the face of the earth. Page 46. Contest. Prologue. New York City, 30th of November, 2:01 a.m. Mike Fraser pressed himself flat against the black wall of the tunnel. He squeezed his eyes shut as he tried to block out the roar of the subway train flashing by in front of him. The dirt and dust kicked up by the speeding train hit his face like 1,000 pinpricks. It hurt, but he didn't care. He was almost there. And then, just as soon as it had come, the train was gone, its thunderous rumble slowly fading into the blackness of the tunnel. Fraser opened his eyes. Against the black backdrop of the wall, the whites of his eyes were all that could be seen. He peeled himself away from the wall and brushed off the dirt that had clung to his clothes. Black clothes. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and while the rest of New York slept, Mike Fraser was going about his work. Silently and swiftly, he made his way up the subway tunnel until he found what he was looking for. An old wooden door set into the tunnel wall, held shut by a solitary padlock. Pasted across the door was a sign. No entry, booster valve, high voltage area, Consolidated Edison personnel only. Fraser examined the padlock. Stainless steel, combination lock, pretty new. He checked the hinges of the old wooden door. Yes, much easier. His crowbar fitted snugly behind the hinges. Crack! Status check. Initialize program systems. Officials in charge of third element, please confirm delivery. The door fell from its frame, and dangling from the padlock swung silently into Fraser's waiting hand.